The following program is paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395 is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit absoluteloans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.
You're listening to The Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, sponsored by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Now, in the studio, local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome to Money Hour on 570 KVI, the Sunday, February 16th show. I am your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. Thank you for taking time to talk money. I am here every Sunday at 11 a.m. right here on 570 KVI. I build a network of elite industry professionals every week sharing their knowledge and expertise for my listeners on everything regarding your money. And my lineup in studio today, Tere Foster and Moya Skillman with Windermere Real Estate East. They are one of my trusted sources for our local real estate market advice and information that's happening. So really excited to have both of them in studio today. And also I have Matt Loftin with Davis Wright Tremaine. And some people ask if estate planning is important or if you need estate planning, and the answer is really simple. Yes, it is. Avoid probate, reduce estate taxes, avoid a mess, protect your beneficiaries, and protect your assets. I feel estate planning may be one of the most important topics when it comes to your money. So I'm really excited to have Matt and his expertise on estate planning. Great information and great guests in studio today. For more information on any of the topics discussed, or if you'd like to talk with any of my guests, please take down our phone number, 1-888-987-0570. Again, it's 1-888-987-0570 or on themoneyhour.com. And let's go ahead and start with the show with a little money chat. And bringing into studio, I wanted to talk a little bit about foreign national loans, because I know that our real estate guests here today, they work with a lot of buyers or that come in on their listings that are foreign national. And so it's a new product that's became available a little while ago, where it gives the ability for people that are purchasing properties from another country here in the United States. And foreign national is if you don't have a visa, you don't have a green card, live and work in another country, but you want the opportunity to purchase a home here in the United States. It's such a great opportunity in our real estate market. Maybe you can make a little bit more money than you can in other areas with your finances. And so that's why we see a lot of people coming into our market here and purchasing. Now, a no social security number, that falls within the foreign national program. What they're looking for is they're looking for a strong down payment. So depending on what the purchase price is going to be, 40% down payment up to $2 million, 45% down payment up to $3 million, 50% down $5 million, and there is a minimum loan amount. So they're looking at larger loan amounts when getting into the foreign national product. So minimum loan amount would be $300,000. Now the products are available on fixed rate and adjustable rate mortgages. So that's nice, because a lot of times that you see on the creative financing that have a little more risk to them, that they're adjustable rate mortgage products. So it's nice that you can do a 30-year fix with this. Now what they're looking for, there are income requirements. So just like if you were purchasing on a standard conventional program, you have to have a minimum 2-year employment history. So they're going to look at that for the foreign national as well. So you have to have a 2-year work history. They like to see that it's been in the same line of work or the same industry, but it's not absolutely necessary if you can kind of tie these together somehow. It's not necessary to file U.S. tax returns. Obviously, foreign national, you're not filing U.S. tax returns. But if your country of origin doesn't have tax returns, then you must have some type of documentation that shows what your income is. So you're going to receive pay stubs or have bank statements that show that money coming in, or an employment letter on company letterhead from the company that the foreign national is working for, explaining what the compensation plan looks like. And on an income, just like standard financing, it does have to be income that not guaranteed, but if it needs to be a salary or an income that you know what that income is going to be. If it's any type of income that's not guaranteed and based on productivity of the company or of the foreign national, then you have to have a 2-year history of making that type of income, and it's going to be average. So again, it's just falling in the same guidelines as we would have for our standard financing, except for the fact that you don't have to be a U.S. citizen. Asset requirements, following the same as standard financing as well. You're going to have to provide 2 months of bank statements or asset statements, and you're going to have to source all of the deposits that are coming into the account. So again, it's just a standard thing that we have with standard financing through Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac on the secondary market. The portfolio lenders that are offering the foreign national programs have the same requirement as well. So what they're looking for is any deposits that are coming in to make sure that they can actually be paper trailed and documented back to the person that's actually applying for the mortgage. So depending on what type of program that you're going with on the foreign national, most likely they're going to want to see 12 months of reserves of mortgage payments left after closing. Sometimes there's a little bit of exceptions to that. And then also they're obviously sourcing the down payment. So that large down payment that you're coming in with, which makes the risk less to the bank. And that's why they're willing to offer on a foreign national financing. The down payment has to be documented that is your own funds. Now, gift funds are accepted, overseas gift funds. Gift funds have to come from a family member, somebody that's related to you. And the gift funds are going to be sourced and documented that they came from that donor. So if you're getting gift funds from a family member, it needs to be sourced and documented that's coming out of their account and going into the borrower or the foreign national that would be utilizing this program. So if there's any deposits that are coming in and out of the account that can't be documented and sourced, you just need to get the money in the account soon enough to where you've got 2 months. Because again, once the funds have been in there and seasoned for 60 days, or you have 2 months bank statements, it's sourced, it's considered your funds and doesn't have to be documented further than that. And then there are credit requirements as well. Again, falling on the same guidelines as a standard loan, they want to see that you have 4 separate trade lines. So trade lines are different types of accounts that you've applied for. So you could be talking about 4 different types of credit cards, or you could be talking about a combination of a car payment, mortgage payment, credit cards, student loans. So any type of debt that you've had a loan on, it needs to be established for at least 12 months back. And again, you need to have 4 types. Now, for a foreign national, obviously, they're not going to have credit here in the United States, but you can go back and document get an international credit report or letters from the creditors to verify the activity of that account has been in good standings. And then also you're providing that information because there is a debt to income ratio like there is for standard financing. So you have to show the ability to be able to approve debt to income wise based on the income and the debt that you're currently holding in the new mortgage payment. So there's some great programs. It's nice to see that the banks are relaxing a little bit on some of the guidelines with loans that make sense. We're not going to get back to the day to where the lending was, where the industry really was being pretty irresponsible and lending zero down stated income loan programs, challenging credit. Those programs most likely are not going to come back, and they shouldn't come back. But things that make sense when people are coming in with a large, substantial down payment, which means that they've got some skin in the game and some risk, the chances are going to be a lot less that they're going to default and give that property back to the bank or allow them in a position to where they're going to lose that asset and the equity position that they've built. Combination with the fact that our market is building equity and we're seeing some return in the real estate market is another reason why the banks are getting a little more lax with their guidelines. If you have any questions, pick up the phone, give my show a call, 1-888-987-0570. Again, it's 1-888-987-0570 or online at themoneyhour.com. Any financing questions that you have. When I'm not here talking with you guys on Sundays, my full-time job is a mortgage professional. So any questions regarding mortgages and how to secure financing for a new home purchase or a refinance, again, give me a call, 1-888-987-0570. Coming up next in the Money Hour, here to discuss what's happening in today's real estate market and how consumers are reacting to the current real estate environment. Tere Foster and Moya Skillman with Windermere Real Estate East right here on 570 KVI after this short break.
Are you puzzled about the real estate market? Do you want to buy a new home but don't know where to begin? Or are you wondering if it's the right time to sell? Tere Foster and Team Foster at Windermere Real Estate have helped hundreds of people sell their home or find a new one. Terry and Team Foster have over 30 years of experience in selling houses in the Puget Sound area.
This is Tere Foster with Team Foster at Windermere. To learn more about us, you can visit our website at fosterrealty.com or call me at 425-637-8373.
Are you behind on your mortgage payments and unsure about the road ahead? Magnum Law Group helps families just like yours navigate through the foreclosure avoidance process. Are you underwater on your home and unsure what to do? Magnum Law Group will help you understand your options. Are you facing foreclosure and need to stop a trustee sale? Magnum Law Group has success in doing this and may be able to help you too. If you're tired of dealing with the banks and getting turned down for loan modification, Magnum Law Group will take on the banks for you and lead you through the process for the best possible outcome. They lead the competition with superior knowledge and expertise.
This is Craig from Magnum. You can reach us at 425-605-6393 or at www.magnumlawgroup.com. See you at the next seminar.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 570 KBI. I'm empowering our community, providing you with opportunities and the solutions when it comes to anything regarding your money. In studio right now, very excited to have top real estate agents in our local market here, Tere Foster and Moya Skillman with Windermere Real Estate East. What to know about our local real estate market and what's happening in the real estate market today is why I've asked them in here. And Terry's been in studio before. Moya is actually her daughter, and they partner in the real estate business. So very excited to have both of them here. Tere Foster is one of the highest producing real estate agents in the nation based on sales volume. She has over 25 years experience in the Puget Sound area, is highly regarded in the industry by her clients as well as her peers for having an in-depth market knowledge, an incredible work ethic, and a strong sense of integrity. And Moya, Terry's daughter, joined Team Foster in 2004. She's a broker and a staging professional. Moya leads the marketing vision of ensuring that their clients' homes are professionally represented and use the latest social media outlets available. And they have a lot of listings in that real high-end market. So having Moya's expertise in the staging and the true vision to make those properties shine. Moya serves as a premier executive director for the luxury program at Windermere and also as a founding member of the Breakfast Club, a networking group for the next generation of top producing agents in the Puget Sound area. Thank you, both of you, for being here. Just really excited to have the two of you together.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Terry, let's go ahead and start out, or Moya, let's go ahead and start out with what's the latest with the local real estate market, because I know there's a lot of hot activity going on out there. I see it in the lending side and all the things that are coming through in communication in my area. What are you guys experiencing?
Inventory is down from last year about 5%, and prices are up about 16%. So between that and also interest rate that's moved about a point, it's probably a good time to buy a house because it seems like next year, it's going to be more.
So Terry, with the inventory being down, buyers are not seeing the inventory that they want, and so they're waiting. Can you talk a little bit about the cost of waiting and what that really means to a buyer if they're not jumping in now and waiting for that perfect house to come up?
Right. First of all, I think people need to think about not perfect. I'm not sure there's perfect in housing. But when you have inventory low and the prices climbing at the rate they are, if they're climbing 16% a year, that's about 1.5% a month, right? So if they decide to wait for the perfect house like next year, they're really going to be paying a lot more money. Plus, we're uncertain, and maybe you can speak to that, about interest rates continuing to climb. So eventually the affordability for them for the wait, I think, comes too costly. It would be better for them to make a choice with the best criteria they can, deciding what are the most important factors: location, size, floor plan, and maybe they won't get everything on their list, but they can get most of the things, get in the market, so then they can ride up with the market. And maybe in 2 to 5 years, trade to something else. And then
that is a really good point, and being able to get in and take advantage of it, because I don't have a crystal ball, none of us do, but I would agree that interest rates have nowhere to go but up, which is going to have a huge impact. And I think if they actually line out the numbers and look at them, you can see the true cost of sitting back and waiting, which actually in my mortgage software that I developed, that's one of the reports that I go over. And I've been doing a lot of that in this time right now. And it's because not that people don't see the benefit of buying. They see it's a huge benefit of buying right now, but just what you said, it's a lack of inventory. So I got to ask the question, should they sit on the fence and wait? What are you telling them to do?
Right. We really think that they should jump in. Like Terry was saying, even if it means giving up something that was on your wish list, try and jump in now. Let that equity start to, appreciate. And in a couple of years, you can jump back in. If people keep waiting, it's just going to be more in a couple months, more next year. And then they really start to get priced out. And we started seeing that even towards the end of 2012, buyers that were looking, and they're still looking, and they're really priced out now. Yeah,
and rents are continuing to go up. So if they're not going to buy, and that's the thing that's different about real estate than any other investment, you don't have a choice to participate in this asset class. You're going to either buy and participate in the asset class and make something, or you're going to be putting a roof over your head by paying for rent. So how do they make a choice and feel like they aren't settling for a less home if they're jumping into the market now? And talk a little bit about the jump and how they make that jump.
Sure. So, it's just like any big decision in life, whether you're making a job change or whatever it might be. We really recommend people sit down, make a list of your pros and cons, and figure out what are those top things you want in a home, and then recognize you might only be able to get your top 3. So you don't want to keep going and looking at open houses and, well, this only has 5 of the 10 things we want. Focus on the top 3, whether that's location, floor plan is always really important. Maybe initially you wanted to have something that was new or updated. Well, maybe that's something you can do over time. So really sit down, figure out where your most important things are, and know that you're only going to get a couple, and then you'll have a little more confidence in jumping off that fence.
So I love where you guys are going with this. Again, I totally agree with you. So let's go ahead and stay on the same train of thought here. So Terry, what are the most important features that a buyer should have on the top of the list, because they're not going to get everything? So what are those top items?
I think it goes back to location. It's that old saying of location, location, location. And I grew up in the real estate world, and my dad said you always buy the dirt. And you buy the dirt because a house could burn down, and what you have is the lot.
Yes.
So if the piece of land isn't very good, then you really haven't made that great of an investment. Houses get old. Eventually, they all need to be updated. Floor plans change over time because of how we live. But the location, whether it's close to a town, close to a school, shorten your job commute, whatever it is, to me, that's the most important.
Yeah.
And I would always encourage my buyers to have that probably at the top of their list.
And we got some nice dirt around here.
Yeah, we do.
We do. So don't let that home be deceiving when you look at actually where that home is at. So Terry, you mentioned schools. Let's talk a little bit about schools and how important is that for me. Those of you that are listening to the show that don't know, Dave and I don't have any kids. I've been married for 20 years. I have a stepdaughter. My stepdaughter is 33. Love her to death, but no babies of my own, and surely we're not thinking kids because we're not in that. But it's important, right, for resale purposes. So talk about that.
Schools are, well, yes, it's important for resale, and obviously people who do have families, when you think of if they can't go to the public school in their area because they think it's really not that great, then they look at private school. Well, that's an extra huge cost. So maybe instead you factor that cost more into a better place to live where you can have the most appropriate school for your children.
Yeah.
And, it's a choice. But it's the biggest question that we get asked all the time.
Yeah.
is what about the schools? And people will shop schools even down to the individual school, not just district.
Yep.
And it's very important. And we see that as a return on investment with resale.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because we live in, our other guest here, Matt, is close friends with actually our neighbors across the street, but we live in a really nice area and we're in Newcastle, but we're in the Renton School District. Right. So, and that's the first thing when there's a home listed in there and they're expecting in that neighborhood to actually be in a different school district. So almost all of them send to private schools, but it is an issue in resale because they're, so let's talk about the hot market in general again. Tere, what are the areas where you're seeing the greatest amount of activity?
It's very interesting. West Bellevue is the hottest region in the Puget Sound area. And West Bellevue is Bellevue that is west of 405.
Okay. It
is south of the 520 freeway. It's north of I-90. And it is obviously east of the lake. Lake is the western border. Okay. So it encompasses Medina, Clyde Hill, Yarrow Point, Hunts Point, and the core area around the downtown part of Bellevue. Very, very active. When you compare that area sales-wise, just in volume, to another really nice community, which would be Washington Park, Madison Park, and that whole area, we are probably doing 2 to 3 sales to their one.
Wow.
That's the difference. And I think a lot of that has to do with schools.
So we've heard a lot about the single-family home market and neighborhoods. What about the more urban market, truly in the core that you mentioned, and condos? What's going on there, some major developments, and seeing there's a lot more cranes and a lot more building that's going on. So talk about that.
Yeah, we are condo inventory on both sides of the lake is really close to being depleted. A year ago, I think we had 10 months of inventory. We're about down to a month and a half of inventory. They have finally absorbed the new construction that came online in 2008 when we crashed. Yep. And it's taken till, last year basically to sell off most of it. We have one new project in the downtown core, Belltown area. It's the Kleiss blocks. It's Insignia. It's 2 towers. It's about 700 units. And they're selling really rapidly right now. I think they have over 50 sales, and they've been online for maybe 4 or 5 months now. Wow. So they're maybe selling about 10 a month. Mostly to the young professional, a lot of them Amazon, Lake Union area because it's
they want to be in the hip place.
Absolutely. It's new. It has all the creature comforts, all the fun stuff as amenities there. So that's the hot new project. And then downtown Bellevue has probably 10 different apartment buildings going up. Right now, downtown Bellevue has 10,000 residents that live in the core.
Really?
And that is growing. Kemper Freeman will be doing his 3rd tower. However, we understand that's going to be high-end apartments. It won't be condo sales.
Okay. So just for the renters out there.
Yes.
So I'm going to cut it off right here because I got to take us to commercial, but we're going to bring back Tere and Moya are staying right where they're at. I'm going to have them for 2 segments because I have so much information and questions that I want to ask them. Coming up next in the Money Hour, we're going to talk more about real estate with Tere and Moya right here on 570 at KVI.
Are you behind on your mortgage payments and unsure about the road ahead? Magnum Law Group helps families just like yours navigate through the foreclosure avoidance process. Are you underwater on your home and unsure what to do? Magnum Law Group will help you understand your options. Are you facing foreclosure and need to stop a trustee sale? Magnum Law Group has success in doing this and may be able to help you too. If you're tired of dealing with the banks and getting turned down for loan modification, Magnum Law Group will take on the banks for you and lead you through the process for the best possible outcome. They lead the competition with superior knowledge and expertise.
This is Craig from Magnum. You can reach us at 425-605-6393 or at www.magnumlawgroup.com. See you at the next seminar.
Are you puzzled about the real estate market? Do you want to buy a new home but don't know where to begin? Or are you wondering if it's the right time to sell? Tere Foster and Team Foster at Windermere Real Estate have helped hundreds of people sell their home or find a new one. Tere and Team Foster have over 30 years of experience in selling houses in the Puget Sound area.
This is Tere Foster with Team Foster at Windermere. To learn more about us, you can visit our website at fosterrealty.com or call me at 425-637-8373.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 570 KBI. My goal is to keep you up to date on the latest news and trends in our local economy. Keep me tuned in, and I will definitely keep you all informed. Continuing my conversation with Tere Foster and Moya Skillman with Windermere Real Estate East. Any questions that you may have about real estate, Tere and Moya are the ones to talk with and are some of the best right here in our local market. Today we're talking about what's happening in the real estate market, and we kind of left before we went to commercial about some of the new construction that was going up, some of the condos, and then we ended in Bellevue that there's a lot of new things happening, but they're apartments, and there's a lot of young professionals out there renting.
That's correct. About 40% of our market actually is a rental market. And I think you talked somewhat about foreign nationals coming in, and a lot of them will come here and also rent. Some of them are brought in high-tech jobs, and they love urban. They like to walk everywhere and, have everything around them. So that's very popular, very dense.
So how does the market compare to the last boom? 'Cause we're in a boom right now. I mean,
right.
What we're seeing.
We are in a boom right now. I think that, to me, it seems much healthier.
I agree.
There seems to be a greater foundation to it. We have much more diversification. The last boom, we didn't have Amazon bringing in thousands of people. Every single company here seems to be growing. And on the east side, our foreign national market is quite large. So Asia Pacific is, we're very popular with people coming out of that region. And I think that has really helped grow our economy here.
And you're seeing in the foreign national, there is a lot of cash purchases that are going on, and being in the industry and you're working around this all the time, a little bit off from what I talked to you about. This says a lot for our real estate market and what's happening.
Yes,
I mean the fact that they're coming in and they're investing here which shows a huge opportunity in what's happening on our market.
They like our lifestyle here. They want their families to live here. They're very interested in having their kids being educated in our schools. And it's a direct commute to Beijing.
Okay, yeah.
So they'll set up business here and they set up business there. So we're I have many clients that commute back and forth to China.
Yeah. Wow, boy, that's a commute. We were just talking earlier about a commute from the east side to Tacoma. A little bit longer commute than that. So what does this mean with multiple offers? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure.
Moya?
Yeah, we are seeing a lot of multiple offers again. So, back to that boom market. And, basically people really need to have everything organized. You absolutely have to have your pre-qualification letter, your pre-approval letter from your lender, have all of that in a row, because chances are when you walk through that first open house, you're going to need to decide then if that's something that is going to work for you. And there's lots of different steps, for multiple offers. We're seeing people do pre-inspections and trying to write the cleanest, strongest offer they can so that they can compete, in that multiple offer situation. We're seeing that all the way up to into the $2 million range.
Yeah, and isn't that amazing? On a $2 million home. And again, a lot of it is obviously there's so much demand, but the lack of inventory. So we talked earlier about that wish list. Every buyer is going to have that. I mean, we're spending a lot of money on a property, and your wish list is going to be a little bit more than maybe if you're going out and buying a car. But in a multiple, when you were in this environment and being prepared for a multiple offer, they got to figure out what they're willing to give up and what they're not willing to give up before you start getting out there, because what a mess, what a waste of their time to have to do that, right?
Right. Yeah, you really want to be organized. You want to have done your homework, have that discussion about what are our priorities, what are we willing to give up, so that when you're standing in that house, you really know, I'm confident in making this decision even though I've only been here 10 minutes.
Yes,
I know that this is the house. And also you want to know what price you're willing to go, too. You don't want to get so caught up in the emotion that you're willing to blow your budget by, $20,000.
That is a really, really good point. You've got to decide exactly what your payment objective is. Ultimately, that's going to decide how far you're willing to increase that price. So any other tips that you have on winning in a multiple offer situation, Moya?
Yeah, well, we really recommend, doing your homework, of course, working with a great agent that has a lot of experience in doing transactions and dealing with multiple offers. Really try and do a pre-inspection if you can. Yes, it's money out of your pocket. It's probably going to be $400 or $500, but that's going to allow you to know what you're buying and write your offer or think about writing your offer without an inspection contingency. So it's going to help you compete, against all of those other offers. And just, doing as much homework as you can, write the cleanest offer that you can. And I think, having a good agent really helps. Get selected.
100%. And if you guys are thinking about getting educated on the real estate market, pick up the phone, give my show a call, 1-888-987-0570. Again, 1-888-987-0570. If you want to talk with Tere or Moya, they're taking on new clients. Surprising. I mean, really, really busy. But they've got an amazing team that they have. And so if you're interested in representation, again, they're one of the best in the market, and I highly encourage to give the show and talk with them. So what about escalation clause? Can you explain how this works, and is it a good strategy right now that you guys are using and seeing people use to get their offers accepted in this multiple offer market?
It's essential. There could be 5 or 10 buyers for the one house that you're looking at or want to buy. So let's say the house is $500,000.
Okay.
You have to decide for yourself what are you willing to lose it at? Is that $525, for instance? So what you would do is you'd write a full price offer, and you'd put an escalator that says, I will pay $3,000 higher than the highest offer, not to exceed $525, because that would be your break point. So you're willing to go up that high. And they have to show you the other offer. They can't just raise you.
Yeah.
But that way, and if the other offers top out at $510, then you're at at $513.
Tere, why is not everybody doing this? Because I see contracts come across my desk every day because I'm doing the financing and the escalation clause. I mean, they're in the contract, and there are multiple offers. I hear people not getting their offers accepted over and over. Why aren't everybody putting these in there? I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me why you would not in a multiple offer. Am I missing something?
Yeah, it should be done. And I think it's lack of education on the agent's part. Or sometimes the buyer's just afraid. I mean, that can happen too. But
really it shouldn't, because if they understand that there is a cap, I mean, here's the low of what I want to do. Here's the very maximum. There is really no risk to that. Right. If you go in, just like Moya said, you've got to know exactly what you're willing to do. That max that you're willing to do, that's what you're setting it for.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I would say is, I always say to the buyer, I want you to be real clear that if this house goes to $528 and you don't get it, that's okay.
It's okay.
That you're done.
Yeah.
And you're not sad.
We're not talking about Vegas where you're going and get more chips, right?
That's right. That's right. So you just, and I think that's a very important question to always ask.
I totally agree. So let's talk about, because I think a lot of buyers are not really educated on how important it is for the reputation. I'm not talking about how long they've been in the industry, because that to me is common sense. You got to work with somebody that's been in the industry for a long time and has done a lot of transactions. But I'm talking about reputation, that they've got a good reputation. They're out there doing a lot of business in the market. How important is that to a buyer, and why is that, Moya?
Yeah, no, it is important because when you're competing, you're trying to get selected to the dance, right? So you really want to have a great agent representing you, because when the selling agent is looking at all these offers and they're meeting with their client, they're going to look at these names and go, oh, John Smith, I've worked with him a handful of times and I know that he's really good at communication. Yeah. This is going to be a good transaction. Every listing agent wants a smooth transaction for their seller. So reputation really is important. You want an agent that is known among other agents to play really well in the sandbox, that they're going to return their calls. It is really important who you have representing you. And we've done it where we've had multiple offers, and when all things are equal, you're going to end up picking that agent that that's going to work well and make it easy on your seller.
Exactly. And I'll tell you, and the same thing on the lending side, because when you pick up the phone and you give the listing agent a call and they know you in the local market, same thing. It's that reputation, and you're building that community of people in the industry that are going to get the job done and they're going to take care of the clients. So what about, or give me a recent success story that you'd like to share with my listeners on a multiple offer situation.
Sure. Yeah. Well, we had one, probably just about 2 months ago now, and a client that had looked over and over and had lost out, on a few homes. And I think part of it was we weren't doing pre-inspections. She didn't want to shell out the money to do that. And we convinced her to, it's worth the $400. This is the fifth house we've written on. Let's really know what you're buying, have you feel comfortable. And we just wrote the strongest, cleanest offer we could. And I think also, with our reputation, we were able to finally get that. So it was good. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
What about some things to watch for? One of the biggest things that you've seen recently happen, that an agent has made a mistake, because we know that mistakes are getting made with the agent representation that's ultimately costing the buyer money or the seller. What is that?
Well, the thing that seems to be, I see it a lot, and it seems to be very frustrating, is that people make assumptions. They make assumptions that the seller won't sell at X or the buyer won't pay Y.
Okay.
And we do get a lot of calls from agents saying, well, my buyer will pay $500 for that. Will they take it? Well, verbal offers are kind of silly.
Yep.
If
it's not in writing, it doesn't exist, right?
And what are the other terms? There's more than price to any transaction. In any offer, there's time. To some sellers, they need more time to get out of their property.
Sure.
What do they need? What can you give them that doesn't cost you money? And some people have the opportunity of time, right? Maybe they're living in a place that they don't have to move. So I just think the biggest mistake most agents make, and buyers and sellers, is they make assumptions. They rush to judgment.
They're not communicating to find out what the interest is of the other party that they're negotiating with. So we've got a couple minutes before I've got to wrap up the segment with the two of you. And I would like to know, for a buyer that's listening right now, as top agents in our market, and knowing the questions and the answers of really what these buyers should be asking, what would be the top two questions that they need to go in to know that they've got really good representation, someone that's going to take care of them? Interviewing agents.
Yeah, we think, in this really competitive market, the first thing is, their communication. Am I going to be able to get a hold of you? When this listing comes on at 10 o'clock in the morning, am I going to be able to reach you? And can we run out and see it? And, is this an agent that returns their phone calls only once a day, doesn't send email? So communication, very important. Second, what's your experience with transactions? What's your transaction management style? And have you, gone through multiple offers before? Just really, what's their depth of experience when it comes to transactions?
And I think that's huge, because what is the average with, if you're listening right now and you hear the answer, it's kind of scary. On an average, what is a real estate agent actually doing in transaction-wise a year?
Maybe one sale a month.
So if you think about that, it's a scary, scary thought that on an average, maybe one, transaction a year. how can you represent a client and have the knowledge and the expertise to get that job done in a negotiating when everything is changing and moving and all this stuff is happening? So I think I totally agree. The biggest thing is obviously the communication, and you'll know that when you ask the question that they are accessible and they have a team that support them, which at the Foster team they absolutely do, as well as what are they closing? How many transactions are they working with? And then you know that they've got the experience along with that reputation that we talked about on the market. Thank you so much, you guys. It was such a pleasure again to have both of you here, and I hope that you come back.
Thank you, Tina. It was great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Coming up next in the Money Hour, many people avoid estate planning because they think it focuses on death and funerals. Actually, it's the opposite. Estate planning focuses on life after you die. Matt Loftin with Davis Wright Tremaine right here on 570 KVI after this short break.
Are you puzzled about the real estate market? Do you want to buy a new home but don't know where to begin? Or are you wondering if it's the right time to sell? Tere Foster and Team Foster at Windermere Real Estate have helped hundreds of people sell their home or find a new one. Tere and Team Foster have over 30 years of experience in selling houses in the Puget Sound area.
This is Tere Foster with Team Foster at Windermere. To learn more about us, you can visit our website at fosterrealty.com or call me at 425-637-8373.
Are you behind on your mortgage payments and unsure about the road ahead? Magnum Law Group helps families just like yours navigate through the foreclosure avoidance process. Are you underwater on your home and unsure what to do? Magnum Law Group will help you understand your options. Are you facing foreclosure and need to stop a trustee sale? Magnum Law Group has success in doing this and may be able to help you too. If you're tired of dealing with the banks and getting turned down for loan modification, Magnum Law Group will take on the banks for you and lead you through the process for the best possible outcome. They lead the competition with superior knowledge and expertise.
This is Craig from Magnum. You can reach us at 425-605-6393 or at www.magnumlawgroup.com. See you at the next seminar.
This is the Money Hour with your host, Tina Mitchell, on Talk Radio 570 KBI. Now, back to the show with local mortgage and finance expert, Tina Mitchell.
Well, welcome back to the Money Hour with your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell, right here on 570 KBI. My goal is to keep you up to date on the latest news and trends in our local economy. Keep me tuned in and I'll keep you informed. In studio right now, Matt Loftin with Davis Wright Tremaine, and we're discussing today estate planning and everything about estate planning that might be interesting for you if you're listening. And if you hear any information from Matt today that you're interested in more information, please give my show a call, 1-888-987-0570. Again, 1-888-987-0570. Matt, thank you so much for joining me in studio today.
Yeah, thanks, Tina. Thanks for having me.
And Matt's an attorney with the law firm. He counsels individuals, families, and businesses in a broad range of trust and estate matters, including business planning. He advises clients on tax-efficient wealth and property transfers made during lifetime and at death through the utilization of client-specific planning techniques, including charitable planning, business succession planning, and special needs planning. In addition, Matt represents personal representatives, executors, and trustees in administration and trust and estates. Matt is an active author and speaker for both the State Bar of Texas and the Washington State Bar Association. So, Matt, let's go ahead and start out with a little bit about your legal practice at Davis Wright Tremaine.
Sure. I guess I'll start out. Benjamin Franklin once said, "Nothing is sure in life but death and taxes." And so if Mr. Franklin is right, I probably have the most secure job in the country because my practice involves a little bit of both. But seriously, I primarily consider myself a tax lawyer who specializes in estate planning and estate administration. Most of my knowledge, though, is in a bunch of different legal fields because when I engage a client or work with a client, I am kind of building a personal relationship with them and have to take a look at all of their assets across their whole portfolio. And so I have to know a little bit about real estate. I have to know a little bit about employee benefits, partnerships, corporations. So it really is kind of a broad range of legal fields that I kind of work with. As you mentioned a little bit, my practice is multi-jurisdictional, so I represent clients in Texas and in Washington, and soon to be licensed in California. So I work with, will be working with clients down in California also. and also work a little bit with nonprofits and tax-exempt organizations.
Okay. So can you explain, let's just start out with the term estate planning. Exactly what does that mean?
Sure. Primarily, when you say something like that and you say estate planning, the focus is on the orderly and systematic transfer of wealth from one person to another. But this general definition includes considerations to effectively plan for retirement, provide sustainable wealth for an individual's family, minimize the risks associated with aging, reduce estate administration costs, and of course dispose of an individual's assets as they determine. So the focus is really on two things, people and entities. So, when a client comes in, they need to determine who they would want to get what. Or, be it a charitable entity, be it their family. And we also have to focus on the assets that they have. And so we have to take a look at how various assets are titled, how, and the valuation of them and how they're going to pass, and along with their tax basis.
Okay, so Matt, describe, I've got a lot of people that listen into the show in a lot of different areas. So what might be the perfect person that would need your services?
Well, I think as you mentioned in your opening, the easy answer is anyone.
Yep.
So, a lot of times I think incorrectly people think of estate planning and they associate that with people with a lot of wealth or people who have a lot of wealth that need to be thinking about their estate planning, when really it's just anybody who wants to dispose of their assets as they desire. And so, and obviously I don't think a lot of people are thinking about that based on a 2007 study that said 55% of Americans currently don't have a will. So, anyone who wants to control how their assets pass, either during life or at death, people with blended families, which is a pretty common occurrence now, that really helps, having an estate plan in place really provides clarity for the family members upon your passing or during life to get your wishes out there so there's really no potential for conflict. Another important group of people who need to consider estate planning are couples with minor children. If someone... one of the true ways, two ways actually, along with a durable power of attorney, that someone can designate guardians for their kids is through a will. And if someone doesn't do that, or parents with minor children don't do that, they don't have their wishes expressed. And so if the parents really want to designate where their children, who would watch over their children upon their passing, they need to get that in a will. Also, with minor children, you want to make sure that you aren't passing assets out to them at your death before they're old enough to handle them.
Sure.
Usually under the Uniform Transfer to Minors Act, children, if they were under 18, would not get the assets outright, but would have a guardian watch over those until they turn 18. But oftentimes, anybody with kids probably knows or interacts with kids, 18 is a little bit young to be having control over a lot of assets. So, if you put a will in place, maybe with a trust at different ages, you can determine at what age they get those assets, and they would still benefit from it during the trust, but they would not deplete those assets as quite as rapidly maybe as they did when they were outright. Also, another big consideration, I think, is people, clients that I encounter are people with out-of-state property. So oftentimes I'll encounter a client who maybe lives here but has property in California. And most people don't understand when you own property in a different state, by that state's laws, you have to go through a separate probate process in that state in addition to your home state. So if someone owns property in California, they may have to go through probate in California, which is going to be a very nasty state for probate processes. So what we try and do is set up maybe various trusts, living trusts to put, or irrevocable trusts to put these properties into trust so that they can maybe avoid probate in other states.
And so if you're listening today, I'm going to give you a call to action. It's my job as the host of the Money Hour here on 570 KVI is really to help you watch for your money, watch for your assets, protect. And I think a lot of people, listening to Matt's and talking about the statistics on people that don't have a will, I think maybe the procrastination is because you're thinking about death, and so people are staying away from that. But it should be the exact opposite. You want to make sure that you're setting your family up and making sure that when you are gone, that things are going to run smooth. You definitely don't want to get into probate. So Matt, let's talk about some triggers of maybe starting the process or changing your will, because that's another thing as well. People don't update your will. You've got one, but you've got to make sure that you're updating. And so what are some of the triggers for that?
Sure. Usually first of all, I guess if you don't have anything in place now, you need to do something. So you need to at least meet with someone. So that should be a trigger out in itself if you don't have anything. Usually when we design plans, too, we are looking 3 to 5 years out. So you would really want to revisit your plan every 3 to 5 years just to make sure things haven't changed too much. I know in the last few years, despite the end of 2012, there was some clarity gained with respect to transfer tax laws, so estate gift laws. With the end of the fiscal cliff, that was kind of a byproduct of that. Congress made permanent some of these laws, but permanent is only relative, and it could change as soon as Congress's decisions change. So, tax laws can change, exemption amounts can change. So that's why you want to revisit things every 3 to 5 years to make sure the plan still functions as you want it to.
Okay.
Additionally, we've got, other considerations such as death of a family member. If you've got a new child, when your children gets married, you receive a large inheritance. Again, if you're purchasing real property that's out of state, you get a new job, maybe with new or different employee benefits. Retirement is a big one. If you purchase life insurance, that's another one to think about, and I'll get into that a little later. And if you have a living trust where you've got your assets, that would require constant updates. Maybe every time you get a new piece of property, you're going to want to retitle it in the name of that trust.
So, Matt, let's talk about living trust. What are some of the ways that people can transfer their assets?
Okay, well, in addition to living trust, that's one of probably the most common vehicle people think of besides a will in how they want to title their assets or how they're going to be able to successfully transfer assets. First off, if nothing is in place, you fall under the intestate laws of the state where you reside at your death, and that basically the state determines how your assets are going to pass. Mostly that's going to be to your spouse or your family members, but where that might be what you want, it still doesn't have some of the mechanisms to allow you to control how those assets are distributed. So you really want to get something in place. And with wills, when we're talking about the passing of property with wills, we're really only talking about probate property, and that's property that's really titled in your name individually, and that you own at your death, or if it's titled with your spouse, something like that. But there's also another group of assets called non-probate assets, which pass outside of probate. And wills don't really address that. And when you're thinking of non-probate assets, the obvious example is life insurance, maybe employee benefits. And so the rule of thumb is that if property is held in such a way that there's a beneficiary designation on that's going to pass according to that beneficiary designation, not according to your will. And so sometimes that can skew things a little bit and get people's assets going in different directions where they didn't necessarily plan. And so when you sit down with someone, you really want to look at both of these things to get a big picture of how things are going to pass and how those things interact together. And so we've also got revocable living trusts are another mechanism. As I mentioned, those are good for maybe privacy, avoiding probate, because that would also, when assets held in there are non-probate assets. So if you don't want to go through probate, even though it's not as big of an issue in Washington as it would be, say, in California, where kind of the estate fees and the court fees are a lot more expensive than here. Washington actually has one of the most efficient and inexpensive probate processes in the entire country.
Not that you want to go through it, but
yeah, I don't think it's necessarily bad that you do. Because I think you can do things very quickly here, and maybe that's a misconception, is that probate is a terrible thing.
And it was, because I just said that. I thought it was. I thought it was a terrible thing.
Yeah, and a lot of people do.
Hear the word probate.
And I tell you, if you lived in California, it would be.
Okay.
Because the costs there are very prohibitive, and that's why everybody there, frankly, puts things in living trust. And that's why if you owned real property there, you should have that in a trust so that it passes outside of probate. But here, Texas also is another one that are very efficient. You can get someone appointed as executor, go through the court, minimal court exposure. So it's really an easier process than people think. So will-based planning is not a terrible way to go here in the state of Washington. Another fortunate thing we have in the state of Washington is something called a community property agreement, and these are agreements under the law that say that a couple can fix the status of their property, making it all community property, which is a kind of a special definition of property that's jointly owned, and it's extremely complex, and I'm not going to get into it right now. But community property, so a couple can agree that this property is all jointly owned community property, and that upon the death of the first of them, all of the property automatically passes to the other, to the surviving spouse, and that's a good probate avoidance technique. Now, it doesn't get into a lot of tax planning, and so but it is good for people with minimal, modest estates, and they want everything to go to the surviving spouse, and so it's just a simple agreement that you sign, have notarized, and it's good enough to transfer title to assets upon the death of the first spouse. I think one last item for non-probate assets that's important are joint accounts with right of survivorship. And mostly you think of those with bank accounts. And so that would be jointly held accounts that most banks will require you to put a right of survivorship on them. And so that when one account holder passes away, it automatically passes to the other one outside of probate. So that's another decent substitute, but you got to be aware of those things. I know I have a lot of clients who maybe are concerned about incapacity problems, and so they're thinking, well, gosh, if I'm incapacitated, who's going to manage my affairs? I better have someone on my account who can, step right in and pay my bills if I can't do that. And so they'll add someone to their account, and the banks, just do this automatically, and they put a right of survivorship on it. And, when that person, should they pass away, it automatically goes to this joint account holder who they had no intention of all this bank account money going to. So you've really got to be aware of that, because I've had quite a few clients that have run into that situation. And the only way to address that, how they would want, would be to execute some type of power of attorney, financial power of attorney in favor of that person instead. So really, it's not just about needing a will. It's really coordinating a bunch of different assets.
So, Matt, thank you again so much for coming into studio. First time. You've got so much information, so many more questions I wanted to ask you. So we're definitely going to have you come back in studio.
Yeah.
Are you up for that?
Yeah, definitely, Tina. I'd love to come back, and we can get into a little bit of the tax aspects of things. And
you kind of make estate planning fun. I mean, that's hard to do sometimes.
I try to do that. It definitely is a little bit of a dense subject to talk with people about, but we try and take care of our clients and make it easy for them.
I know you do. That's why I have you here. So pick up the phone, give the show a call, 1-888-987-0570. Again, 1-888-987-0570. If you don't have a will, have your assets protected, please give the show a call, and I'll connect you with Matt. Tomorrow is President's Day, and those of us in the banking industry, like myself, I got a day off. It's going to be a 3-day weekend. I hope you, as my listeners, you do as well, and get to enjoy some extra family time. This is your host and mortgage expert, Tina Mitchell. Thank you so much for joining me. I will be back here next Sunday, same time, 11 a.m., right here on 570 KVI. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Are you behind on your mortgage payments and unsure about the road ahead? Magnum Law Group helps families just like yours navigate through the foreclosure avoidance process. Are you underwater on your home and unsure what to do? Magnum Law Group will help you understand your options. Are you facing foreclosure and need to stop a trustee sale? Magnum Law Group has success in doing this and may be able to help you too. If you're tired of dealing with the banks and getting turned down for loan modification, Magnum Law Group will take on the banks for you and lead you through the process for the best possible outcome. They lead the competition with superior knowledge and expertise.
This is Craig from Magnum. You can reach us at 425-605-6393 or at www.magnumlawgroup.com. See you at the next seminar.
The preceding program was paid for by Absolute Mortgage, a division of Pinnacle Capital Mortgage Corporation. Absolute Mortgage Company, NMLS number 81395 and Washington CL number 81395, is an equal opportunity housing lender. Tina Mitchell, MLO number 145420, is a licensed loan originator with Absolute Mortgage. Visit absoluteloans.com or call 888-90-HOMES for cost information.